Hello, my name is Simon Schur, and welcome to my tutorial on how to get into a full split. Sometimes the split is called a box split, or a center split, or a Chinese split. But basically you're standing up, opening your legs to either side respectively, letting them slide out as far as they can until the center of your hips are touching the floor. Now it's important to understand stretching before we try to isolate and stretch any specific muscle intensely. What I recommend is watching the animated video I made on exactly what happens in your muscles when you stretch. What exactly are we doing to our muscles right now? I'm also going to talk about PNF, or proprioceptive neuromuscular facilitation, in this video. I made another video on that I recommend you go back and watch for a full explanation of what's going on during that motion. A precursor that I want to put out there before we start is if you ever feel any pain or bone pressure, like bone pressing against bone or bone scraping against bone, you need to stop and change your approach. Stretching should never be painful, though it should be extremely uncomfortable. And it should never inflict permanent damage or ripping or tearing. If you do any of those things, then you're doing it wrong. What I'm going to do today is present you with a series of exercises that approach the splits in several different angles and directions that loosen up not just the muscles involved in the splits, but the muscles around them, to give you that extra leverage so that you can get into the split more effectively. I can't give you a hard time frame because everybody's bodies are different. Somebody who has some natural flexibility and wider hips might have an easier time getting to a split than somebody who has narrower hips and a lack of natural flexibility. They're going to need to work at it more and condition their body more to get to that point. The first exercise we're going to do to help develop the split is utilizing dynamic stretching. That means throwing the body dynamically into a motion. Now this isn't good for increasing range of flexibility, but it's a good way to prepare your current flexibility to be elongated. So you do dynamic first, and then you follow that up by active and static stretching. The first stretch we're going to do is called a leg lift. You're going to put one leg behind you, leaving one leg in front of you, keeping the knees slightly bent. Take the back leg and dynamically, effortfully, lift it up with some force, swing it up as high as it'll go, and then pull it down. Start slow with this, and then build up your speed and momentum until you're pushing your leg as far as it can normally go, to the edge of your current range of flexibility. Do this on both sides. You'll do the same thing, swinging the leg to the side. So the leg you intend to swing up should go in front of you, and then you're going to swing it up to the side, and then bring it back down. Try not to let your hips open up while you do this. Now it's okay to have the heel off the floor before the stretch, but as you're swinging the leg with either the leg lift or the side leg lift, you want the standing heel to remain on the floor. If you have trouble balancing, or if you just want to put more effort into the legs and less on your core and maintenance of balance, you can do the same stretch while holding onto the wall or a bar or a table or a chair at the back of a couch. So you hold on to it and perform the same motions, and you don't have to put the leg down if you have that assistance. Now it's important to warm up the muscles we're going to stretch, and the muscles directly involved in the stretch, it's good to get them really warm. So what we're going to do is we're going to hold on to something, chair, couch, bar, wall, extend the leg out in front of you with your toes pointed up. Keeping the leg completely straight, rotate the leg in a circle 5 to 10 times, and then in the other direction 5 to 10 times. Point the standing foot in the direction of whatever you're holding on to, or in the opposite direction from that which you're extending your leg. Straighten the leg, the toes should be sideways or pointing slightly down, and then let the leg from the hip rotate in a large circle 5 or 10 times, and then the other direction 5 or 10 times, making the circle incrementally smaller on each rotation. Now stand with your feet about a shoulder apart. Put your hands on your hips and let your hips rotate in a very large circle. Now we're not just moving our hips in a circle, we're moving to the very edge of what our hips can manage. So push your pelvis forward without bending backwards with your spine, just your pelvis, your hips, and rotate them to the side, around to the back, and to the other side, feeling where the edge of your hip socket is, and how your upper leg, your femur, is moving inside of that socket. That's a very important motion for this stretch. You need to feel and understand the range and diameter of your hip joint, and this is a stretch that will let you do that. Now your feet are connected to every part of your body. Going into a split stretch, you're going to want your feet to be well stretched out. It will make a huge difference. It may not seem like it, but the little bit of flexibility and relaxation that your legs and muscles will get from stretching out your foot before you go into deeper stretches is intense. So you're going to sit on your butt, stick your legs out in front of you, and cross one foot on top of the other. Grab the top ankle with the same side hand, and that same ball of the foot with the other side hand, the opposite side hand, and rotate the foot in a large circle 5 to 10 times, and then the other way. The reason we're grabbing under the foot is because we want the ankle to stretch. So we're not just going to go on our normal range of motion, we're going to go beyond it using an outside force. Now you're going to punch your foot several times to get the blood flowing to stimulate the nerves in the bottom of the foot. Now you can give yourself a foot massage. Start by rubbing around the base of the heel and then through the pad of the heel. Walk your fingers up on the knife edge of the foot, the outside edge, and then walk them up the inside edge, trying to touch the bones through the skin and muscle each time. Then walk your fingers up, moving a centripetal motion down the center arch of your foot. Once you get to the pad, you do the same thing we did with the heel. Walk your fingers along it, pressing down in between each of the metacarpal bones in your foot. As you get to the edge of the pad and you get to your toes, bend each toe forwards, one at a time, as far as it will go. Try holding it down for about a breath. Do the same thing, bending your toe backwards, pulling your toe towards your knee. And then pull your toes apart, one at a time, stretching out in between your toes. Then take each toe one at a time and pull it out, away from your foot, as if you're trying to pull it off. You might feel a little pop, you might not, but hold that pulled stretch position for a minute, and then go on to the next toe. Perform this on both legs. Once you perform the stretch, push down on that knee. Now kneel down on all fours, as if you were in a cat position, or as if you're crawling along the floor like a baby. Now having your hands right under your shoulders, and your knees right under your hips, put your feet together, and let your knees slide out to opposite sides as far as they'll go, pushing your pelvis towards the floor. Hold this position for about 10 deep breaths. Any of these stretches where you feel tight or you feel a lot of resistance early on, I recommend going through a couple of PNF reps, where you contract the muscle for about 5 seconds and then relax it for 10, trying to go a little bit further on each relaxation. I'm going to move up the leg and focus on the calf. Put one leg behind you and the other leg in front of you. You want both toes pointing in exactly the same direction. From the pinky toe, exactly the same direction. Pushing both heels into the floor. Take the back leg, slide it out behind you, and thrust your hips forward a little bit, keeping your back straight. You should feel a stretch in your calf, just above the back of your heel. You can do this either in the center of the room, or you can hold onto a wall, or push against a wall, to increase the tension on that calf. Stand up straight, with your toes either together or slightly apart, perhaps no more than a shoulder width. Now drop down from your head, rolling one vertebrae at a time until your hands are as close to the floor as you can get them. Breathe deeply and hold this position. We're stretching out our hamstrings as well as our calves now. We're also stretching the back of the lower section of the gluteal muscles. So now pull yourself down till you feel a pull, especially in your hamstrings, and hold that position. Now you can use the device called the side stretcher to increase the efficaciousness of this stretch. Sit on your back, or sit on your butt, stick your legs out in front of you, put the side stretcher around your lower back, one loop on each foot, but opposite feet, and then extend the legs out. This will hold your legs together, pull your toes backwards, putting the stretch in the calf, and pulling your upper body forwards. You can also utilize my other device, the side band. It's like a giant elastic band. You put it around your back and hook it on your feet the exact same way you did the side stretcher. Now, this will not have a pull to get your body forward, so you're going to lean forward of your own accord, and then you're going to try to sit up, fighting the side band. So it's offering resistance. You're working those deep muscles that we just stretched. Again, giving them a greater depth of warmth to stretch from. Step your leg out into a deep lunge stretch. Your front foot at least 2.5 to 3 shoulder widths from your back foot. The front knee should be directly over the front heel, not over the toes or past them. That's bad for your knee. The back leg should be straight. On the ball of the foot, the back heel should be off the ground. Right now we're stretching the psoas muscle, the quadriceps, and the bottom of the front leg, the lower gluteus muscle in the front. Now you can put your hands on the floor on the inside of the front leg and let your body lower down to the floor, allowing your pelvis to go even closer to the floor. The hips will open up just a little bit now, so we're stretching a different part of those same muscles. Now you can drop the back knee and point the back foot. Lift your upper body up and push your torso backwards, thrusting your pelvis forwards, stretching the front of the hips and increasing the isolation of the psoas stretch. Now you can bend the back knee, reach your outside hand, the same side as the front leg, around backwards towards that bent leg, thrust the pelvis forward, and pull the foot towards your gluteus. Lie on your back and stick your legs straight up in the air as far as you can. Allow them to open to the sides, keeping your knees straight, allowing gravity to pull you to the extent of your box split. Now we're working abdominal muscles and the top of your rotator muscles in your hips, so that your feet don't go towards the floor. Then you let the hip legs open as far as they can. Now we're going to increase the warmth and the strength and the mobility of your inner thigh muscles by bringing your feet together, almost clapping on top, and then letting your legs fall open to the side. Perform this 5 to 10 times. Now if you want to relax the abdominal muscles and focus on isolating the stretch on the inner thigh, we do the same stretch, but this time putting your butt against a wall and your feet also against a wall. Let the legs fall open to the side and let them hang there as far as they'll go, and then bring them back up together. Let them open and let them come back together. Now if this is easy and you've already got very strong inner thighs and it takes more to warm you up, you can use the side band again. You stretch the elastic between your feet, you lie on your back or do it sitting up. Bring your feet together so they click, and then open back to the side. Now place your hands on the floor and bend one knee so that your butt, or your gluteus, goes towards that calf. The toe on the extended leg should stay touching the ground. The big toe should be touching the ground. Then we're going to switch sides, keeping as low as we can, bending the extended leg until the other leg is extended and we're squatting on the other side. Go back and forth several times. Now do this with the extended toe pointing up towards the sky and the nub of the heel remaining on the ground. Switch sides several times and then stand up. Place your leg on a bar or the back of a couch or a chair while holding on to another chair or the rest of the couch. Having the toes pointed up, and try to point both toes in the same direction. You're going to try to lift the leg up off the bar as far as you can and then place it back on the bar. Do this 5 to 10 times. Now point the standing foot in the opposite direction so the toes are pointing towards the wall, couch, or chair. And lift the leg up and then put it back down. With the toe pointing up and both toes pointing in that direction, lean forward and try to touch your chin or chest towards the extended leg. With your toe pointing away from your extended leg, reach the opposite side hand, or the standing leg side, over your ear and arch towards the extended leg. Right now we're stretching out the side and the ribs as well as the upper section of the hips. Now we're going to go to the stretch in question, the splits. Open your legs to the side, put your hands on the floor so that you can take the weight so that you're not dropping down and putting excessive pressure on the inner thigh muscles that we're stretching. Let your legs open to the side and stay there. Now you're going to go through a couple of PNF sets. Contract the muscles and relax the muscles to get as far as you can. And again, I discussed this in great detail in my PNF stretching video. Now holding this box split position, try pointing your toes up towards the sky and then down to the ground. And then alternate which leg you have up. Put one toe up, leaving the other one down, and then switch several times. You'll find if you're hitting bone during your stretch, adjusting the position of the femur and the hip joint by pointing your toes up and down will help you get around those blocks. Sit backwards on your buttocks, keeping your feet as far apart as they'll go. Keep both tailbones on the floor. Take your leg, again rotating the femur in the hip socket. We're going to rotate the legs forward. There should be no pressure in the knee or ankle when you do this. Hold this for 2 or 3 breaths, and then roll from the hip socket backwards, the toes point behind you. And again, hold this for 3 or 4 breaths. Now you can use your hands as much as you want to help increase the stretch. Leave one back and the other leg forward, so your feet are pointing in opposite directions. And again, you're not rolling your hips. You're rolling your legs inside your hip joints, so both tailbones need to stay on the floor. Now roll your legs in the other direction. You've reached about as far as you're going to be able to go in one session. You should be at least 3 or 4 inches further than you were before. Once you get this greater range, it's important to hold on to it for a long period of time so that your body will adapt to this new stretch. By long period, I mean 10 minutes to 30 minutes. Now, if you're in a regular box split position, this isn't going to work because your wrists are going to get really sore. If you're not already in a full split, I should say. If you're trying to go further in a full split, then again, your wrists are going to get really sore holding this position. If you try to do it sitting on your butt, your legs will start to drift together. If you have a side stretcher, then you'll be in a great position to do this. Put the side stretcher around your back, the loops on your feet, and let it pull you into the same stretch position that you were in, if not a little bit further. Then you can sit there, hold the position, watch TV, read a book, do your homework, get work done, what have you. Thank you so much for watching this video on how to get into the splits. Don't forget to share, comment, like, and subscribe, and check out the other videos on my YouTube channel. If you're interested in getting your own side stretcher or side band, they're available on Amazon.com. The side stretcher is only $35 with free Prime shipping, and all the information to get to it is in the link below this video.